Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan and today I am going to present the first draft of my research proposal. The title of my study is Artificial Intelligence and Student Dependence, Dependence and English Language Learning. My research is focused on English language teaching, specifically on the increasing use of artificial intelligence by English language learners and the possibility of developing dependence on these tools. The research problem: artificial intelligence has become increasingly present in English language learning. Today, students can use tools such as ChatGPT to receive immediate feedback, ask questions about grammar, practice vocabulary, translate text, generate ideas, and receive help with different English learning activities. These tools can be very useful because they provide immediate access to information and language support. However, this situation also creates a concern. My research problem is the possible dependence of English language learners on artificial intelligence (AI), because AI can provide instantly answers and even generate complete text or responses. Some learners may begin to rely on these tools instead of trying to solve language problems by themselves. For example, a student may use AI to translate a text, correct every grammatical mistake, generate an essay, find vocabulary, or complete an English activity. This does not necessarily mean that using AI is negative. In fact, previous research has found several benefits of AI in English language learning, including feedback, personalization, engagement, and support for independent learning. The problem is that we still need to understand how learners themselves experience this situation. Some students may rely on AI to complete most of the learning tasks. Therefore, my research does not assume that artificial intelligence is either good or bad. Instead, I want to explore how English language learners experience and perceive their use of AI, particularly in relation to student dependence. Justification. The justification. This study is important because AI is becoming increasingly relevant in English language teaching. Teachers need to understand how students are using these tools and what role AI has in the learning process. The study is also important because previous research presents different perspectives. Some studies suggest that AI can support independent learning and provide useful assistance. However, other research identifies concerns about over-reliance, academic integrity, inaccurate information, and responsible AI use. Therefore, there is a need to understand the phenomenon from the learner's perspective. My study will use a qualitative approach because I am interested in students' experiences, perceptions, reasons, and practices, also opinions. I do not want to simply measure how many times students use AI. Instead, I want to understand why they use it, when they rely on it, and how they perceive its influence on their English learning. The findings could be useful for English teachers because they might help teachers understand how students are using AI and consider ways to integrate these tools while maintaining students' active participation in the learning process. My research questions. My generation research question is: how do English language learning experience and participate participate. Mm, how do English language learners experience and perceive their use of artificial intelligence and English language learning, particularly regarding student dependence on AI? I also have three specific research questions. The first question is, how do English learners use artificial intelligence when learning English? The second question is, what reasons do English language learners give for relying on artificial intelligence during English language learning activities? And the third question is, how do English language learners perceive the benefits and challenges of relying on AI for learning English? These questions focus on experiences, perceptions, and practices, which is appropriate for my qualitative research approach. The research objectives. The general objective of my research is to explore English language learning experiences and perceptions of the use of artificial intelligence in English language learning, particularly regarding student dependence on AI. The first specific objective is to describe how English language learners use artificial intelligence when learning English. And my assumptions, because my research has a qualitative approach, I am using assumptions rather than statistical hypotheses. My first assumption is that English language learners use AI as a resource to support different aspects of their English language learning. My second assumption is that English language learners may have different perceptions of AI dependence depending on their purposes, experiences, and ways of using artificial intelligence. These assumptions are tentative, they are not conclusions. They may be modified depending on what I find during the research process. So this is the the starting of my draft, and the references for this first draft. I consulted research related to artificial intelligence, English language teaching, EFL, learning autonomy, and AI dependence. Some of the main references include AI Crash's systematic review of artificial intelligence and English language teaching, research on AI literacy and learning autonomy in ChatGPT, supported EFL writing, and recent research on ChatGPT using EFL university students. These students, these studies help me understand that AI has both potential benefits and challenges for English language learning. And to conclude, my research focuses on an emerging issue in English language teaching, the possible dependence of English language learners on artificial intelligence. The purpose is not to argue that AI is good or bad. Instead, I want to understand how learners use AI, why they rely on it, and how they perceive its role in learning English. Through a qualitative approach, I hope to obtain a deeper understanding of this phenomenon and provide information that may be useful for English language teachers and learners. Thank you for listening to my presentation.